The following is a public service announcement. Excessive alcohol consumption can cause liver damage and cancer of the rectum.
Beer.
Americans have a loneliness problem, and the number one solution that experts suggest is to spend more time with family and friends. But that takes some effort to find and maintain friendships as an adult. KCRW's Megan Jamerson met up with a group of coworkers who end every workday at a happy hour to see what she could learn about creating fulfilling friendships.
It's 2:30 on a Friday afternoon when I walk into the dark bar of a Mexican restaurant in La Cañada, Flint Ridge. Yes, it's early for happy hour, but it's not about the drinking. I'm here to meet 6 teachers from a local high school that gets out a little after 2. I head over to a red booth where they, the happy hour squad, sit.
Yeah, we call ourselves the HH squad. We have a group text thread, the OGHH, the HH girls only.
That's Casey. 4 years ago, Casey and several members of this group were hired at the school at the same time. First, they started chatting during prep periods, and then one day, Casey brought in a big salad to share at lunch. They decided to get together and started organizing.
I am the dean of happy hour and sent out a text. And
now they reserve the same booth every Friday at a restaurant called Los Gringos Locos. By the way, the squad members all asked to go by their first names because they're nervous about their school's HR person. Across the booth, Vanessa adds they work in different departments and come from different generations. Gen Z, Millennial, Gen X. Some people have even come and gone.
But for some reason, this group, there is openness and there's trust and there's vulnerability. And so this little magical group happened.
It may feel like magic, but this kind of friendship with coworkers takes work.
So it's not just like if you see the person every day, you're going to become besties, right?
Cassie Holmes is a professor of behavioral decision-making at UCLA's Anderson School of Business. Holmes says to get beyond the superficial layer at work, people have to equally share things about themselves. Each semester, she does a Making a Friend exercise with her MBA students. People pair up and ask a series of questions that start with, what's your name? What do you do for work? And then things get deep.
What is a big regret? What is your favorite childhood memory? Thinking about the future. And in just 15 minutes, you see that people feel significantly closer and more connected with the other individual.
Aside from effort, friendship takes time. Holmes studies how our use of time affects our happiness. And no surprise, in our hyper-connected world, a lot of us feel time poor. So she suggests tracking how you feel after activities in your day. And if you consistently feel crummy after hours of watching TV or doom scrolling after work, try carving out some time to connect with your coworkers instead.
Most working Americans spend more than half of their waking hours working. To the extent that you can imbue some of those hours with that positive social connection, that is absolutely worth the investment.
Everything okay, guys?
Back at the Happy Hour Squad, Austin agrees the 4 years of weekly happy hours has been worthwhile. He has friends who sometimes work at home.
And a lot of them have shared feeling lonely and feeling like they don't connect with anyone at work because everything's online. And I've had the privilege of not feeling that way because of a group like this.
A group that can spend about 90 minutes on a Friday talking through the latest happenings at school, like football games and AI, to working through challenges in their personal lives, says Sergio.
They'll celebrate me if I need to be celebrated, or they'll lift me up if I need to be lifted up.
So, dear listener, I hope the next time your coworker invites you to a happy hour, you say yes. Or better yet, be the person to invite them yourself. For KCRW, I'm Megan Jamerson.
This the city of Chicago.
The 2020 murder of George Floyd stirred waves of activism and protests across the country. It also sparked a year of reflection. In Chicago, several major arts groups joined businesses big and small in showing solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. Many promised in public DEI plans to make changes to better reflect the city they serve. Now, 5 years later, the Sun-Times and WBEZ have surveyed 21 arts, culture, and humanities nonprofits to see what progress they made. Sun-Times reporter Erica Thompson joins us to talk about the survey and what she learned. Welcome.
Hello.
So why did you want to survey the city's biggest arts groups?
We really wanted to measure the progress of diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts here in the arts sector. And because a lot of these organizations made promises to diversify their staffs and their boards and their programming, we really wanted to try to hold them accountable and see where they stood 5 years later.
So what did you ask these companies to show you in order to measure some of their progress?
We asked them to provide the demographics of their boards and full-time staff members in 2021 and 2025. We also asked them to share examples of programming that reflect people of color.
And we should say that Chicago Public Media is the parent company of both WBEZ and the Sun-Times. It was also asked to participate in this survey. What did the groups tell you?
So of the 21 that we wanted to survey, 7 agreed to complete the survey. And those organizations were Chicago Shakespeare Theater, Navy Pier, Timeline Theater, Merritt School of Music, Old Town School of Music, Steppenwolf Theater, and as you mentioned, Chicago Public Media. And the results showed minor increases in the share of people of color on their boards and their full-time staff. For those that didn't participate, a few sent statements emphasizing their commitments to reflecting the city within their organizations and, putting on programming that also reflects the city. But a large number of them did not provide a reason why they didn't participate.
Based on what you gathered, what do you think some of those main reasons groups chose not to participate?
There are several reasons. There's no secret that there have been federal attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion. President Trump dismantled a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs at the federal level. Corporations have been sued because of their diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, and a lot of arts organizations have lost federal funding. So there could be a fear of emphasizing diversity, equity, and inclusion programs right now because they might be punished.
Yes, speaking up could lead to more cuts.
Exactly. But on the other hand, there is a possibility that some of these organizations did not make as much change as they wanted to. We have heard from artists and advocates that this has been a problem long before the current backlash against diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they're concerned that these organizations really didn't take the steps that they said they would.
In Chicago, 2/3 of residents are people of color. Did you find that these major art groups are reflecting this population better now?
They have made minor progress. So between 2021 and 2025, most of the organizations have increased the share of people of color on their boards and their staff. For example, the city of Chicago is made up of 68% people of color, and then also Latinos make up roughly 30% of Chicago's population, and Black residents make up 27% of the population. But most of these organizations are not close to that. To kind of drill down a little further, so 5 of the organizations currently have boards that include between 26% and 44% people of color, while the others have boards that include fewer than 20% people of color. They have been more successful in diversifying their staffs. But when it comes to Latinos specifically on boards, we did notice that a lot of organizations do not have any representation or very low representation.
But there was progress that was made. What stood out to you?
Yeah, so Merritt School of Music stood out. They are an organization in the city that works to break down barriers to classical music for young people. They have moved the needle quite a bit when it comes to their board and their staff. And we actually recently sat in on one of their band programs at Rachel Carson Elementary in Gage Park. We talked to band director Stephen Gooden. Let's hear a little bit from him.
As a Black conductor, I've probably played for 2 people that look like me in my whole life. And so I see that value of somebody that looks like you or other people that of color that don't have those same kinds of opportunities. It's like absolutely critical for like self-worth and like drive to push forward in the future. I think that Merritt's mission to make sure that we're serving all students from Chicago, I think they're really successful at that.
And I'll ask, how did Chicago Public Media do?
So Chicago Public Media was the only survey respondent that reported a decrease in the share of people of color on its board. However, following staff reductions, the organization did manage to increase its share of people of color on the Sun-Times staff. And then when it comes to WBEZ staff, it remained nearly the same.
That was Sun-Times' Erica Thompson. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Let's suppose all black folk in America, in America, in the known universe, in the known universe. You got to be thinking too much here. But
Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren is telling the Trump administration to stop plans to close parts of a key NASA facility. Staff at the Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland describe a campaign of chaos and destruction. Here's NPR's Katie Riddle.
The work at Goddard in recent decades has been essential in helping us understand the universe and its origins. Among the many groundbreaking projects there, the James Webb Space Telescope, Hubble Space Telescope, and OSIRIS-REx. That's the mission that sent pieces of an asteroid back to Earth. People interviewed for this story say until recently, working there, it was a dream job.
I loved joining Goddard after finishing my PhD, and this was my first real job as a professional scientist, getting to work at NASA.
Casey McGrath is an astrophysicist. He spoke about this in his own capacity, not as a representative of the government. He says he loved working there for its intellect and open exchange of ideas. But earlier this year, President Trump indicated he wanted to see the center staffing cut by nearly half in his budget. After that, leadership changed and the climate took a sharp turn.
We haven't had a real moment of reprieve because it feels like we're constantly being attacked pretty much on every front that we can think of.
For this story, NPR interviewed 7 people who work at Goddard and reviewed internal emails and documents. 5 of the people spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of losing their jobs. Everyone interviewed described a campaign of disruption from the highest levels of leadership. An information blackout, buildings closed, labs and projects moved without warning, staff rotated off projects and reorganized chaotically. All of this has made little sense and has jeopardized the work, they say. McGrath says at least 2 buildings have been shut down completely.
They've even put chain and lock on the doors to prevent anyone from even entering the building at this point.
Which means they can't access specialized lab equipment like clean rooms or pipes that supply deionized water used for safely maintaining equipment. NASA did not respond to a request for comment on this story, nor did the White House. Monica Gorman is a research analyst at Goddard. She spoke in her personal capacity, not on behalf of the government. Gorman says she fears the administration is trying to cripple the entire campus and its operations.
If they do that, there are science and engineering capabilities that the United States as a whole is going to lose. And it would cost, I don't even know how many millions and millions of dollars and a really long time if we ever decided we wanted to bring that back.
One example, the Nancy Grace Roman Telescope is one of NASA's flagship projects. Among other things, this specialized telescope is helping scientists understand dark energy and the expansion of the universe. People interviewed for this story report their colleagues on the project have been reassigned or forced off the job. Engineers in the middle of the job, they say, have been ordered to suddenly move their specialized labs for the project, potentially damaging equipment and compromising the work.
They're wasting the taxpayer money that we're always trying to steward effectively, and they're throwing U.S. space science leadership in the trash.
Both Gorman and Casey McGrath say they are trying to stay here and keep working on the projects they love as long as possible. But Gorman says she and her colleagues are also angry for themselves, for the U.S. taxpayer, and for the field of science. Katie Riddle, NPR News.
Well, first of all, if you're watching this from the airport or plane, I hope your travel experience is a smooth one. For a lot of people across the country right now, it certainly is not. And sure, flight delays or cancellations or long lines, they're not fun. But if that is the extent of your travel trouble because of this government shutdown, spare a thought for the federal employees working without pay during this mess. That includes air traffic controllers who keep the planes safely in the sky, but also the TSA workers who help us get safely onto the planes. According to a 2019 report from ProPublica, the TSA is one of the most diverse agencies in the federal government. Citing data from the Office of Personnel Management, they found that 1/4 of screeners are black, Reuters found that the average pay is up compared to the last shutdown in 2019. It's now more than $61,000 a year, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But the now multiple missed checks during this shutdown, that's hurting. A shortage of air traffic controllers is what's leading to the FAA to start ordering a reduction in domestic flights. But as those reductions are expected to grow at airports across the country, the impact of long lines and frustrated passengers, that trickles down to them too. Here in Atlanta, we have the busiest airport in the world. Aaron Barker works there. He's a TSA employee and a leader of the American Federation of Government Employees Union. Aaron, thank you for coming in. Your members are about 1,500 TSA workers across the airports here in the state of Georgia. How are you now after 2 full missed paychecks? Are you making ends meet?
No, I am not. As most of my members are, they're not making ends meet. They're having to make really tough decisions. I consider this crisis mode. We are now at the point where today would have been a payday for officers. It's the second full missed paycheck. So now I have members who are coming, they're being evicted. Some of them are already evicted. I have one family who I just learned was sleeping in their car with children. I have another one who's expected to be evicted on Monday. I have another one who has 5 children. She's facing eviction. So these stories are coming in daily to me. So officers are really feeling this shutdown.
Do you have people who are not just calling in sick, but are leaving the job because they're not being paid?
I haven't gotten any reports of anyone leaving the job. And I want to clear something up. Officers are not calling in sick. Officers have not received a paycheck. They don't have the means to come to work. They're calling in because they can't put gas in their car, or they can't afford to pay for daycare. And that brings up a whole nother thing. Daycares have wait lists. Those children that are not able to go to daycare right now, once the government reopens, they then have to be find other places to, for the care of their children while they report to work.
Let me ask you about this thinning of air traffic. 4% on Friday. It could go up, the Secretary of Transportation says, at some point to 20%. That may mean fewer people coming through the lines. Is that help for you if there are fewer flights or fewer people coming through these TSA lines?
So, I mean, in Atlanta, we're built for this in Atlanta. We deal with heavy passenger volume on a daily. So that may be the case for someone, but people are still going to be coming to Atlanta. So it may be a slight decrease in the passenger volume. It would help, but I don't think it will change much for Atlanta because of the way the airport is configured and everything. I think it will still be about the same.
Let me play something that you said a month ago. This was near the start of the shutdown.
One of the biggest concerns that I have for our members and what has been expressed to me is, the mental anguish that's coming from not the uncertainty. The concern that I have is the security risk that presents. The more that things are weighing heavily on someone's mind, that, just in general, you lose focus of what's, in front of you.
Now, every politician that I've heard has said that there's no correlation between the lack of pay and safety and security. You say there that there is a security risk created by this.
I think anyone that says that is absolutely insane. With any what we're going through as federal workers is traumatic for a lot of people. And we know that traumatic experiences have effects on your mental. So if anyone is saying that, I absolutely don't agree with that. My stance will still be that this is affecting officers mentally. And if this continues to go on, I hope that it doesn't happen, but there needs to be some recourse that happens immediately to take care of these officers so they can get the stress of not knowing what's going to happen with their homes, their children, their families every day.
All right, let's expand the conversation now and bring in Darrell Wilson, retired naval aviator and pilot who is one of the leaders of the Georgia Black Republican Council, and Theron Johnson, a Democratic strategist. Darrell, let me start with you. We just heard here from a TSA worker who says that this is a safety risk, not paying people. What's your reaction to that?
Well, that's one of the reasons that the Secretary of Transportation has taken the steps to alleviate the congestion and the stress upon the system in reducing the number of flights, as you pointed out, reducing the number of folks that come through the line for security. you have to be able to do something, take some action, and that's the action that's being taken at the time.
I don't know that that eliminates the safety risk. If he cuts the number of people who come to the line to 5 and the people who are working TSA still aren't being paid, that's the risk, is it not? That they are focused on how to pay the rent, how to pay for food, how to fill the gas tank up, instead of what's coming through on that scanner.
Oh, no, I agree with you. And Secretary Duffy has also made that case for the air traffic controllers as well. So there is a safety issue, and like again, until the Democrats vote for opening the government again, you have to take some action, and action is being taken.
Theron, why did Democrats yesterday vote against a bill to pay federal workers? What justifies that?
Because Democrats want this shutdown to end that the president created. You got to remember, Victor, we tried to negotiate with the president months ago. We trusted him in the first we were first able to stop the first shutdown in March because we trusted that he was going to do the right thing. Now we're saying, hey, we can reopen this government because you guys control the White House, you control the House, and you control the Senate. Also, President Trump this week said that unless we explore the nuclear option, which he's encouraging Republicans to do, you guys are going to be blamed for the shutdown. Now, Democrats previously did vote for federal workers like Aaron and the women and men in his union to receive some pay. But going forward, we want this shutdown to end, not just continue to piecemeal it.
I mean, you can't do both. Aaron's members of his union can't keep their apartments, and they can't feed their children and put gas in the car and continue to negotiate.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Aaron and the women and men in his union for continuing to work. Our hearts and prayers are with you guys. And that's why you saw Democrats like Congresswoman Nikema Williams, who was just a couple weeks ago, who made sure that they went out to the airport and provided lunches and extended hours. Our mayor, also, Victor, this week, I went through the airport and I handed out gas cards because, like Aaron, I had a supervisor tell me if my folks can't get to work, I can't depend on them there. But I want to go back to this public safety issue really quick. These people, these women and men on the first line of defense, we forget when you're going and rushing to that flight, they have to really make sure that they use their proper training and their skills. And if they're tired, if they're broke, and if they're sick and they got their family members complain, they may miss something. We confiscate guns at the airport all the time. So these TSA workers and these air traffic controllers need to have their jobs fully funded, and they need to be able to get their time back.
That still doesn't answer the question of why the negotiations over the ACA subsidies can continue while the federal employees
get paid. Yes, absolutely. I think we should do that, yes.
Okay.
But the Republicans are going to tell you is pass the clean resolution first. It's not an or, Victor, it's an and. I totally agree with you.
Darrell, let me come to you on the White House's fighting all the way down to the Supreme Court, paying out full SNAP benefits. I mean, the headline here is that the president is fighting paying for food stamps for 42 million people. Do you support that?
I support that we should not have interference between the legislative branch and the judicial branch trying to be activist judges. And so that's the issue. You know, is this a constitutional problem or where the judicial is overstepping their bounds? And so will the president even have the authority to do that? So they agreed with the court system, and then it was terminated by the Supreme Court temporarily.
The president has posted on social media 5 or 6 times yesterday to end the filibuster, which would allow Republicans to end the shutdown without reaching the 60-vote threshold, so they wouldn't need any Democrats. Leaders in the Republican conference are not going to do that. Thune has said it's not going to happen. I want to play the president from a little more than a decade ago about the leadership required to end a government shutdown. Let's play it.
Well, very simply, you have to get everybody in a room. You have to be a leader. The president has to lead. He's got to get Mr. Boehner and everybody else in a room, and they have to make a deal.
Where's that leadership?
Well, the leadership is, we already know the bill's already passed the House, and so that leadership has taken place. And now it's in the Senate where we're looking for Democrats just to say, let's keep the government open.
I'm talking about the leadership that then private citizen Trump said is that it is up to the president to lead, to get the people into a room and to negotiate a deal. It is day 39. There are members of Aaron's union who are living in their cars. Where is the president's leadership?
Well, the president has already met with both the leaders of the House and the Senate. prior to this debacle already starting, and the Democrats have made it clear that they're not going to open the government until they get what they want.
Just holding the president to the standard he set for previous presidents. Aaron, Daryl, and Theron, thank you all.
If any black person who forgets that is forgetting a very important fundamental. He couldn't even been running. His name would have not been known. He wouldn't have had a white mother in Kansas.
Fire chief faced retaliation after KCFD failed to investigate racism claims, suit says. A former Kansas City firefighter is suing the city, claiming the fire department allegedly failed to investigate his racial discrimination complaint, which led to him experiencing retaliation, according to court documents. Todd Covington, a former Kansas City Fire Department battalion chief, is seeking unspecified monetary damages for allegations of race discrimination and retaliation, according to a Jackson County court petition. In April 2024, a captain only referred to as Captain Seymour in the lawsuit allegedly referred to Covington, a member of the Choctaw tribe and a former Navy SEAL, as a Red A, and told other employees he was going to get that engine B, according to the petition. Additionally, Seymour said he was going to hang that blanket A, the petition said. He also reportedly falsely told other employees that Covington was being investigated by the FBI for embezzlement, and that there were pictures of him doing cocaine on a boat and with strippers, according to the lawsuit. Covington filed an equal employment opportunity complaint in June, according to the lawsuit. In July, Covington had a meeting with KCFD Deputy Chief Matt Newton and Deputy Director Gene Young, in which he expressed he felt targeted for numerous unfounded investigations, the lawsuit said. The lawsuit claims that despite being required reporters, both Newton and Young failed to report Covington's discrimination complaint. As a result of Covington's complaint, the petition claims he was subject to retaliatory conduct that included a 2-year look-back investigation into the man's overtime hours, resulting in Covington being the only employee in the department asked to submit formal, written requests for overtime and eventually transferring him without notice. Covington claims he is the only person in the department to have an audit performed in regard to overtime hours, the petition said. Additionally, Covington was never given a due performance appraisal and raise as required by the Kansas City Charter and Kansas City, Missouri Human Resources Manual, according to the lawsuit. After Covington was transferred to a new battalion, Matt Newton reopened investigations that had been closed by then Assistant Fire Chief James Walker and entered previously closed investigations into evidence, according to the petition. In an email on May 7, 2025, Covington expressed interest in a battalion chief position that had just opened, according to the lawsuit. He was the only person who expressed interest and met the qualifications for the position, the lawsuit claims. The petition said the position was retracted on May 13, 2025. Covington never received an interview. In the lawsuit, Covington alleges that as a result of the discriminatory and retaliatory actions, he has lost over $12,000 in base salary pay and has seen a reduction of $23.66 in his overtime pay rate. Covington was eventually fired from the fire department, his lawyers said in an email to the Star Wednesday. Covington was previously recognized as a hero in a resolution passed by the Kansas City Council after he and a fellow Kansas City firefighter helped save multiple people from a derailed Amtrak train in 2022 in Mendon, Missouri, where Covington was nearly crushed to death. Nearly a year later, while in Washington, D.C. to receive recognition from U.S. Representative Sam Graves, Missouri's 6th Congressional District Representative, for his actions in the Mendon Amtrak crash, Covington saved a man from choking at a Washington Nationals baseball game. In an email to the Star Monday, KCFD Media Relations spokesperson Chief Michael Hopkins said the department cannot comment on ongoing legal matters.
Context of White Supremacy. I'm supposed to do the is it watermelon shuffle time since the shutdown is over. Hoorah. Hoorah. Can we get to do the black male privilege shuffle? Do we? I don't even. Worthless Negro from Virginia, Thursday, November 13, 2025. So I have been told. Our weekly broadcast, Neutralizing Workplace Racism, not for spectators. I don't know if it's Jubilee, if you are a federal employee and, hey, I did hear like minutes before we went live, NPR reported that the federal employees who have not been getting paid may be evicted. 65% of federal employees, paycheck to paycheck, as we have been told. They said that within a good 72 hours, they should have about 75% of the money that they are owed. Now, within the same report, they did include, hey, hogwash. They had some federal employees who said, we worked here long enough that we've seen other shutdowns and it took longer than 72 hours to get our nickels. And in fact, they said that some federal employees had to file a lawsuit. And we even had that email. We had a listener who said a federal employee that they just like recently, like 2025, got a paycheck from the last time that there was a shutdown. So that would be like 8 years ago. They got money that they, were allegedly owed from 8 years. So that's why I said, like, I don't know. Is it, even if you're indirectly impacted by the shutdown, they said, I don't know, it might not just be a couple days before they get all the flights and everything, back rolling correctly, and get all the air traffic controllers and everything back rolling correctly, and the flights that were canceled and I don't know. We'll have to see. But certainly let us know if you were impacted. Did you immediately get funding, deposited into your direct deposit or what have you? Let us know. 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Now, I know we do have a number of federal employees who listen to the program live, archive. Some of them have written in. I think I read one report last week. Certainly, thoughts, hopes, all of you folks, get your nickels. And in fact, they were talking today, in addition to the NPR report that I heard, where they said, hey, within 72 hours or so, that would be before Sunday, I would think, that you should have at least 75%. Now, they didn't say everything, but they said about 75% of what you are owed. Give them 72 hours and you should be 75% whole. Now, I also heard President Trump talking about federal employees who didn't miss a day and worked, all the shifts that they were required to work during the shutdown, that they should get some sort of a bonus. And depending on how many of those folks there might be, maybe you get a trip to the White House and he can give it to you personally. If we have any folks in that number, oh my God, please go make it a counter-racist experiment, a counter-racist research trip, and just take notes. How many black federal employees were there? What was it like? Did they want you down? Did they think you might be a potential January 6th protester? Like, go get your check and then, report back. But yeah, I know we do have a number of federal employees, so see if you, can go to the White House. Any hoodles. The number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Not for spectators. Now, get to some of the audio that we heard at the beginning, and then we'll get to callers, emails, all that good stuff. Maybe folks who are federal employees are impacted by the conclusion of the so-called shutdown. White supremacy racism continues. The first report, happy hour, that was from NPR, where they were talking about the importance of having happy hour or making friends with your coworker, and it's got to be happy hour. Now, they started off, they said they were going to a dark bar Mexican restaurant. I should have written the name down because I do have a poquito español. But why does it have to be a dark bar like that? Why does it have to be happy? Like, we could kick it at, gee whiz, man, we could go hiking. We could go meet at a park, places that it's warm. We could go someplace that's not a bar. I'm in Seattle, so certainly we could go to a coffee shop, a tea shop. Like, there's so many alternatives. Why do we have to go get tequila? And they went to talk to the teachers. Already knew it's going to be a gang of white chicks, gals, see? They had them old white gals, see? And they threw one dude in there, but that could have been all white people. I certainly don't think no Leroy was in there. I feel very confident about that. Put extra bass in my voice. Won't no Leroy at the happy hour. Maybe bussing tables he clean up after it's done. They don't leave him no tip. But why does it have to be? I just don't. I mean, even if you say networking and making friends and having a support system, stressful job, even if you say that that's, important, why does it have to be? When I worked in the school system, we did the exact same thing. And in fact, it wouldn't be let's get together for friends or let's get together to blow off steam, as they say. It would be, we got to do our monthly classroom meeting where we talk about the students' progress and our behavioral plans and such. Let's go to the bar. And incidentally, we would also go to the Mexican bars, California. So, but this is like industry standard, and you're some kind of lame if, I don't want to go. In fact, I remember I hadn't read no Neely Fuller Jr. Shame on Gus T. at that time. I think I had read Dr. Welsing, but I didn't, I hadn't listened to any lectures or certainly heard any of her commentary about the workplace. Ditto for Mr. Fuller. Hadn't thought about racism in the workplace, no code at all. Used to go to happy hour all the time. Give me a tequila, matter of fact, give me a Corona and a tequila. Woo, party time. Woo. Oh, yes, we're supposed to talk about the children. Yes, what are we going to do about Leroy? Oh, he acting a fool. Can I get another tequila? Yes, Leroy, he's acting a fool. What are we going to do? That's, kind of the way it would go. And, get your tortilla chips in between. Leroy's still acting a fool next time we do this. I didn't change my behavior because I said, oh man, maybe us going to the happy hour and getting tequila, maybe that's contributing to Leroy not making no progress. Nope, I didn't think that. I didn't even think maybe it's not the best thing to go and have drinks with racist suspects. Nope. I started running on a regular basis. I would run in California. Everybody started eating vegan diet. But anyway, California, lots of people are about health, so I would run on a regular basis 3, 4, 5 miles, sometimes more, sometimes multiple times a day. If you're going to do a lot of running, people who maybe have run cross country or other running, maybe do marathons and such, alcohol is not the best. It really, if you're doing anything that's going to be a lot of cardiovascular, like it can dehydrate you, at least for me. Like, I can feel it immediately. So I stopped doing the tequila and the happy hour because I knew I was going to run, and I just, oh man, you can't have me out here feeling terrible and such. So I got to do, what's the point? Why are we going to the bar if I'm not getting no tequila? I could go home if I'm just going to drink water, which is what I did. Man, it's almost as bad at you not come to the Christmas party, which is also generally at a bar, and or they have liquor at the Christmas party. Can't have a Christmas party without liquor. In fact, that's more important than the gifts in the workplace context. Sometimes at home too. I'm not just gonna drink no naked eggnog now. You got to be out your mind. Anyway, for the workplace though, and happy hour specifically, like, oh man, I don't want, and I said it just like that too, because I didn't have no political, stand. I didn't have no, Neely Fuller Jr. said you shouldn't be, none of that. It was straight up, man, I'm trying to run and I feel kind of awful. I went out and just drank wine and I can't do this. What you mean? Cause you got to come? No, we gonna do the happy hour. And it wasn't even, look, it wasn't, we got to talk about Leroy. You know Leroy's still struggling. What we gonna do? None of that. Oh, wait a minute. I'll buy you a round. What you mean you're not gonna drink no tequila? Oh my God, what's going on? That's why I stopped going completely. Because at first I said I'll go, but I'm gonna be a teetotaler. See, I'm gonna get me a water, put a little twist of lime in it. See. No, that ain't good enough. Nope. You can still, I could sip the water and talk about Leroy's. But no. You got to get the tequila, the Caress, something. You got to something. Screwdriver. You. And I said I don't want to do happy hour at all. But they give all that, and they got the group, they call it the all girls only. Probably all white girls only. I wish that was NPR. I wish they had a photo of these folks. They said they didn't want to give a last name, so I suspect they wouldn't want to be identified. But man, I would just look at the demographics for U.S. teachers, K through 12. I would bet everything that is probably all white people, and I would certainly, if you are the only black person, maybe even you're the only dark person, and they're going to happy hour with a bunch of white people and they're going to consume alcohol, oh man, I would try not to go. Now, if they say they're legit going to do business, man, we got to pick up the children. I got to check on, my sick relative. I got to go make sure the cable bill is something. I got an errand where I cannot do no staying and kicking it. Like, let's get to the serious business quick. I'm drinking water and I'm out of here, because I can guarantee if you're with one white person, much less more than two, and alcohol is flowing, it's going to be something really they might even ask you to drive. You did not sign up to be no Hulk in driving Miss Drunk Daisy. Like, come on. And we got black people in the archives where that happened. Matter of fact, they went to the strip. They didn't just go to the bar. They went to the nudie bar. Got tipsy, and hey, Leroy, I can't see straight. I'm trying to be safe driver. Would you be the designated? Come on, Leroy. He got that. You got to be teetotaler now. I got that. You all need to call an Uber, because I'm out of here. Because that means I got to stay until you're ready. That's why I said last week, because it's holiday season. I said they do all this old tacky, we got to get together and do spiked eggnog and all the rest of it for the holidays, even Thanksgiving sometimes. Hey, I would have no problem saying, in my past, there are people that I care about greatly who've had problems with substance abuse. As a result, I avoid environments where people are consuming alcohol and the like. I just don't want to be around that sort of thing. Just had some tough times with that, with people that really mean a lot to me. I think most reasonable people would accept that, and you might not have to say a whole lot else in a workplace context. People would have to give me feedback if they got pushback around that, or, end up in a session where they want to cry about their own issues of substance abuse or anything of the sort. But hopefully that can just be quick, tidy. Oh, okay, I can respect that, Leroy, and, that's that. But yeah, I would not no, it is ripe for all kinds of tackiness. Even without the liquor, you add the liquor on top of it. Oh man. Yeah, gotta go. Let's see. They didn't even make it about we're making business connections. See, that's the other thing. It's not, in my view, I'm not really interested in hearing about your life crises or supporting any of my white colleagues or the such, maybe even my non-white colleagues, to be truthful. But if this is, we're learning more information, things that would have been helpful to know during the so-called shutdown. You were here during the shutdown last time. Did it take you 8 years to get your additional compensation? Like, if that's what's going to be the focus of our conversation, let's do it. We don't need to go to a bar for that. We can all be sober and clear, and that way we can take note. It might be better for us to all be sober so we can get all the questions asked. What was it like last time? How long did you say it took? Did you have to fill out special paperwork? Did they give it to you in the first 72 hours? Like, you can get all those questions answered. Boom, 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 boom. Maybe it'll be 2-3 people there, so you can get multiple perspective, somebody from payroll too. But it should be important things to discuss, not just sitting around. What did you watch on Netflix? Are you feeling all right? What y'all gonna cook for Thanksgiving? Your in-laws coming? Like, come on. And that's what a lot of it ends up being. A lot of it, especially once the liquor. We're not talking about Leroy and the students we're supposed to be suspending, Let's see. They said the going to do the happy hour, we're supposed to get closer. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm supposed to, once I get a little tipsy, I'm supposed to be a so-called open book and divulge all my personal information to suspected racists and even non-white people who do not have my best interest at heart? Metaphor. Might work against me for other racists. No, I don't. You'd even have to explain that to me. Well, how exactly are we going to get closer at happy hour? And what do you mean closer? Is the only way that we can get so-called closer is with a little liquor at the happy hour? Why can't we get closer at work talking about giving me a promotion? Anyway, we heard the report about the Chicago museums and whether or not they are so-called diverse. And they said that they made, I guess, a whole lot of wacky promises 5 years ago after the murder of George Floyd, which didn't even happen in Illinois. But I guess they made a whole lot of goofy promises, and then they did what they call Indian giving, being racist, master deceivers. They said, well, yes, I guess we're going to do better and hire some Negroes at the museums and such. Maybe even WBEZ. I play audio reports. That's a news outlet, not an art museum or what have you, but I play news reports from WBEZ all the time. The Chicago Sun-Times, they covered Jonestown many years back, and they went to see, did they make any improvements? Did they follow through on all these egalitarian words? And we're going to do a little bit better towards justice and hire some niggers. But Chicago, we got all these dark people. Now, they said 30% so-called Latino, whatever that means, and 27% black. I cannot emphasize enough. Neely Fuller Jr., myself, do not use the term Latino. I've said that for years. Many non-white people even who listen to this program, because we are not serious about replacing white supremacy with justice, in my view. We love to get off topic, as opposed to white people. The problem, the Latinos don't like black people. Okay, well. So-called Latinos don't get no jobs at the executive level in Chicago, neither, apparently. They said it's 25% black people in the city of Chicago, which is probably way down from where it was 1950s, 1970s, time Dr. Welsing was growing up and, still going back to visit family and such. They said little or no representation of Negras or so-called Latinas. I said, oh man, the Latinos, they don't like the black people and they still don't get no executive jobs in Chicago. Dang. Let's see. They use the metaphor that it may have slightly moved the needle for a few organizations in terms of hiring, but not much. Even that metaphor, move the needle, what does that mean? I mean, were there metrics in terms of how many niggers were supposed to be hired? And in fact, they said, hey, most of the organizations that they went to ask to see, do you have niggers in your executive staffing? They said, we don't even want to do this. They said only 7 out of 21 organizations said, oh, okay, we'll participate and let you know the demographics of who works here. They said most of the folks just gave them a nice letter and they said, this could be, hey, President Trump, he doesn't do all the DEI, and you might get in trouble, I guess. But they got the shutdown going on right now, or at least cleaning all that up. So they got other fish to fry, as they say, metaphor. They said the other is, well, maybe they didn't do nothing. Maybe they made all these, we fight against racism and Brother Floyd should still be with us, and agony, we gonna do right by Leroy and Lakeisha and his cousins. And since they didn't do right, they said, we don't really want to, show that we didn't hire no niggers or no so-called Latinas, or we didn't hire no dark people at all, and we don't need to show that. We just give them a nice word and keep hope alive, and we're gonna send a fruit basket to Brother Jesse Jackson. Did y'all see Jesse Jackson Sr.? He went to the hospital. They said he was sick. They reported it last night. We're going to send a fruit basket to Jesse Jackson Sr., but we ain't going to hire no niggers. We ain't even going to hire Jesse Jackson Jr. So he didn't pass the criminal background checks. Well, he kind of, but they didn't hire no black people. They said even WBEZ, they didn't make no improvements at all. That's the news outlet. Like, that's not that it would have been better for the art museums and such, but dang, that's public radio in Chicago. They didn't make they got a whole section. They got a whole section at WBEZ that is race, not racism, white supremacy, race, and I think it's class, something tacky like that. They didn't make no improvements. You still got who are the folks that work for the race and class segment? Do the reports on racism in the greater Chicago area. Shout to Pamela Evans Harris, the great. You got all white staff doing that, and then it was all white staff when George Floyd got killed, and then 5 years later it's still all white. Is that what it is? Come on. Coming to that again, this is not white people are ignorant about white supremacy, racism, especially with regards to labor and economics. They are never ignorant. I said, Dr. Curry told us, man, it's laughably ignorant and deceptive, master deceivers when white people and confused non-white people when we accept and believe, yeah, white people, they ignorant about racism. Their ignorance never results in they hired all black people one day at Wells Fargo. That does not happen. They're never ignorant in that way. Their ignorance always results in the same pattern. White supremacy, and we don't hire no niggers nowhere. Nowhere. From Australia to Anaheim, we don't hire no niggers. How is that? Come on. Anyway, dedication to white supremacy, racism. The segment at the Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland. Now, they might say that's an example of exactly what we're talking about, why we didn't want to reveal our DEI initiatives or the lack of niggers that we've hired because of what they're doing at the Space Center. When I think Neely Fuller Jr. gave a talk at the Goddard Space Center in Maryland some decades ago, like back last century. Not wacky because it's right there. I think it's like 5 miles from D.C., DMV area, 5 miles from D.C. where Mr. Fuller lives. So I don't think it's too crazy. And they do have some black people. I think that's a federal institute, so they do have some non-white people. But I think he did give a talk there directly many years ago. That came to mind. And then they were talking about space and the universe. Mr. Fuller talks about that all the time. But they were saying that how I guess President Trump has been nosing through and shifting things around and transferring people without notice and all the rest of it. Just again, they said, I believe, this used to be a wonderful job, great place to work. You get to go and learn about and teach about the whole universe. In the system of white supremacy, racism, I've been saying it consistently. Even if you get your so-called dream job and or you stumble into a job that just happens to be spectacular, system of what Fuller said, they come and throw your whole lemonade stand overboard anytime. Shut down. We get a new president. I don't like none of this. we need to shut all this down. Department of Education. We need to shut all this down. Oh, this is a scam and lame. And y'all got this whole DEI thing going on. We need to shut all this down. All that can happen. You can get fired in the next 5 minutes. That would be good to keep in mind. Apparently, even if you have a federal job, you can be fired in the next 5 minutes. They don't even give you notice or cause. Your services are no longer needed. Deuces. Somebody else is already cleaning out your office. Man. They said the TSA workers, they said 25% of the screeners in the U.S. are classified as black. That matches what I've seen the times that I've been flying. And matter of fact, I suspect, and they were, that was CNN, so they were talking to Aaron Barker, privileged black male in Atlanta. I would suspect cities like Atlanta, Baltimore, maybe Chicago, where they have a higher population of black people, it's even more black people who work at that. It's got to be, because by the time you factor in places like Montana and Idaho and Wyoming and South Dakota, where they don't have no black people, So practically all the TSA workers, I would think, would be white. By the time you factor that in, like, oh my God, like, man, it's ton. When I have I've been to Atlanta's airport, Hartsfield. That was one of the places where they cancel flights. There's tons of black people that do the script. They won't let you fly the plane. They'll let you do the TSA work to come and screen folks to make sure that they don't sneak no cocaine or bombs onto the plane. Those would be the people. Federal employee is 65% paycheck to paycheck. Mr. Barker talking about folks being evicted and sleeping in their car and such, but they're federal employees, got children, and oh my good, we about to be evicted on Monday. I would suspect it was tons of black people in places like Atlanta, what I just said, Houston, Atlanta, anywhere where it's a large population of black people and they got a big airport. Oh man. It's been 2 months of total hell. Probably for a lot of other black people too, but I would add minimum. That's why I said, like, it's so many federal jobs, like not just in, Washington, D.C., but him talking about all these, I just kept saying they should have said that in that segment, like 65% of federal employees live paycheck to paycheck. Should that be the case anyway? Like, maybe that should have been something to pause and think about too. Folks at TSA would definitely like, man, for sure, especially if y'all could be having shutdowns on a regular basis, like, dang, let us save up a little bit so when this happens, we'll have a little nest egg so we won't be here hurting and having to call in and get side gigs and such. Incidentally, I do not blame Republicans, Democrats. The problem is white people do not disaggregate. Now, we heard the segment, Mr. Troy Covington, victim of white supremacy. He was with the KC Fire Department. He reported that they used all kinds of race, and I think this is a non-white, non-black person because he said he's a member of the Choctaw tribe. If my memory serves correct, the Choctaw tribe is one. They have an embargo against even talking about the Negro. They had a documentary at the Seattle International Film Festival. If I got the tribe correct, I think it was the Choctaw tribe. We don't even talk about the Negro. I might have my tribe wrong, so don't hold me to that. I have to go back to be certain. But I do not think this is a black person. But anyway, they said with Mr. Todd Covington, they said that the captain only referred to as Captain Seymour in the lawsuit, allegedly referred to Covington, a member of the Choctaw tribe, and a former Navy SEAL. Didn't we just have Veterans Day? As a red ASS, and told other employees he was going to get that engine. Now, I think this is the B word. BITCH. I think that's why I don't like all that redacting, because then I get confused about what they were going to say. See? He said, additionally, Seymour said he was going to hang that blanket ASS, I think it is. Wow. See that? You talking about lynching dark people. I don't want no redactions. All that, just get that repeated, say this on the regular. Did you work for the fire department? Like, what in the world? I thought you were supposed to be saving lives and helping people. You out here talking about doing lynchings and 2000. What is good? What does it mean? And he talking about lynching coworkers. I could see if it was Leroy was out raping women and breaking into cars. This is one of your coworkers. I'm gonna lynch your blanket. Dang. I said they really, covet those jobs at the fire department. Like, oh man, like that's another one. Like I said, that could be his dream job. Mr. Covington, like, I want to serve, I want to get on the fire department, and maybe they don't have allow so-called Indians. They don't allow us on the fire department and such. So I want to show like, hey, we can do it. We can get on the fire department and go out here and save lives and help people. What? You're not even supposed to have this job. You're supposed to be drinking liquor and all the rest of it. Man, if you don't get your engine, I'll lynch you and chop. I've heard that before. Even when Leroy tries to go get retired for Opalaka 3, you've heard all that before. We don't want no dark people getting no good job, pension, benefits. Oh man, you might even, avoid the government shutdown. Oh, no, this ain't for no dark people. Get on out of here. Had two of those, in fact, in the same area, no less. Gerald Alston, black male, he just passed away, and he alleged the exact same thing. I had a photo up for him when I was promoting this week's event because he just passed away this week, but that was his. I told Mr. Fuller said that. He said, if you are about anything in terms of value, black person in a system of white supremacy, when you pass, they will talk. What did you do to try to solve the problem of racism? That's what they did with Mr. Gerald Alston. He just passed away, and he talked. That was the exact first thing that they talked about, his efforts to fight against racism in the fire department in Kansas City. I don't know if they said they were going to lynch his engine ASS because he wasn't engine, but still, he said it was pretty bad being classified as a black dude, Mr. Gerald Alston. In fact, let's see. This one, Gerald Alston, firefighter whose decade-long legal fight against town exposed racial discrimination. He died at 57. Ain't that black male privilege? Mr. Alston, a former Brookline firefighter whose decade-long legal battle against the town. You think that led to him dying at 57? Fighting a decade-long battle? You think that led to an $11 million settlement and years of debate and discussion about racism in Brookline? Died on October 13 at the age of 57. The cause of Alston's death was not made public. His family is holding a memorial service on Saturday, November 15th, at 12 p.m. at the Salvation Army Kroc Center in Boston. This is not Kansas City. This is Brookline, Massachusetts. Beg pardon. Alston's legal saga began in 2010, 8 years after he became a Brookline firefighter, when a lieutenant in the department accidentally left him a voicemail that included the lieutenant saying the word "negra." Now, what you mean accidental? What they call it, you butt dial somebody, where you have your cell phone in your pocket and you sit down and it goes to your contacts accidentally and just kind of haphazardly boop dial somebody, and you, oh, that Dave Chappelle is funny. Yeah, he said nigger. That's, I don't know. You all would have to tell me, because I've never had that where I accidentally dialed someone and inadvertently said negra. You'd have to even break down how that happened. After receiving a brief suspension, the lieutenant was soon promoted to captain. Of course, Alston refused to return to the job, citing a racially hostile environment, and was placed on leave in 2013 and fired in 2016. We'll stop there, but he just passed away this week at 57. Victim of white supremacy, privileged black man. The same thing. He might have said the same thing. Mr. Alston, hey, I didn't grow up seeing no black firefighters or no dark firefighters. All the firefighters were white. I want to, see if I can change that. I can go out and learn CPR and help property not burn down. Leroy, and they try to burn the cracked house down. And, oh, no, Leroy, I got that. Boom, boom, with the fire. I said, whoa, this ain't for no Mr. Alston. You get on out of here, Gerald. We don't want you out here. We don't want no dark people here. Take Mr. Covington with you. This is for white people. That's kind of what white people have said with the firefighter job, exclusively all across the U.S. That's why Opalaka 3 of them. We can get them out of here too. What the world? Anyway, recognition, passing, 57 years. 57 years. Gerald Alston. Total disgrace. What I talk about, why replace white supremacy with justice immediately. I do not think we were put here to live 57 years. I think that is a disgrace to the Creator. Are you serious? 57 years? 57 years? Chadwick Boseman said, hey, man, give me 57 years. Anyway, the number 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. That is facts, like the sad facts of white supremacy racism. If what I am saying is pathetic, 57 years, if Chadwick Boseman got that, he would still be with us. untiljustice@gmail.com. Not forgotten, Chadwick Boseman. Now, see, we'll do first. See if folks who dialed in. Do we have folks impacted by the shutdown? Let us know directly, indirectly. Are you celebrating the shutdown being over? Or are you confident, like, hey, they said 72 hours before Sunday, I'm going to have my, not all, they said 75%, but I'm going to have 75% of what I am owed before the weekend is done. Are you confident that that's what's going to happen? We have other folks, that nervous that they were going to be fired beforehand, thinking that they're not going to have a job at all. Let us know. And then certainly other folks impacted just by the system of white supremacy in their work environment. Let us know, especially if you figured out some strategies that work to keep you from being harmed, abused in the workplace. Let us see. Folks who dialed in with a hand up, line should be open. Proceed.
Can I be heard?
Yes, Lauren, we can hear you.
Okay. There's a little background noise, but I will continue. The first segment, it was about loneliness. That's when the teacher said they were going to the bar for the happy hour. And probably the drinking of the alcohol with the coworkers, maybe not the most constructive way to spend your time. But they were talking about like asking one another questions, right? And they said like it was a series of questions, what's your biggest regret, favorite memory, thoughts about your future, things like that. Now, it might not be an excellent idea to discuss these things with your white coworkers, but if you do have a non-white person that you are interested in spending time with in the future, I think those questions are a super constructive idea. Maybe not those exact questions, but just learning more about one another and reference the loneliness. I think maybe, I don't know how to, maybe we should get used to that. I just think loneliness is a part of being in a system of racism, white supremacy. I remember Mr. Fuller said one time, I'm paraphrasing, but, that conflict is not an adequate substitute for loneliness, and I completely agree. The Goddard NASA thing where they were doing the research, the scientists, I didn't take as many notes as I wanted, but I did note that they said the people who were doing the research with the dark energy, they got reassigned. And the section where they were talking to the TSA worker in Atlanta, okay, and they asked him. Well, they said it was one of the most diverse agencies in the government, and that the average pay was up. They were making more than $61,000 a year. I think that was since 2019. Well, the pay should be up since 2019. Cost of everything else is going up. It wouldn't make sense for it to be the same. But Atlanta, busiest airport in the world, is what they said. And he asked a question, are you making ends meet? And he answered directly, no, I am not. This is the second full missed paycheck. Members are being evicted. Other people already evicted. Some people sleeping in the car. One lady, I think she had 4 or 5 children. And then, a question was asked about people calling in sick. And he said, hey, officers are not calling in sick. They are calling in because they can't put gas in their car. They don't have the means to come to work. And, I think it's excellent that he made that distinction and he made that statement. And, they asked about, if it helped him for the traffic to decrease. And he said, things were about the same. And that's not even logical. I don't understand how air traffic decreasing would help the TSA agents. That seems designed to reduce the possibility of safety events for air traffic controllers. But, he discussed mental anguish, uncertainty, and all of these things being a security risk, and they are. The person asking the questions, I don't know the racial classification of this individual, either one of them really, but he said it was politicians saying that there's no correlation between a lack of pay and lack of security, and he said anyone saying that is absolutely insane. It's affecting officers mentally. It's a safety risk not paying people. And he said, okay, even if they cut the people coming through the line to 5, which that's not what's happening, they still aren't being paid. And all of those things have to happen. You need to get paid to be able to pay your bills, put gas in the car, feed children, feed yourself, all these sorts of things. And I just think it was super excellent that he brought up these points. Kansas, Troy Covington, the Kansas City Fire Department, they said that he was the only person who expressed interest in the position and was the only one qualified, so they retracted the position. Man, pretty racist, and thus I don't agree about going to the White House and getting some kind of $10,000 check. I don't think I would go to the White House and accept that money from the current president. BGQ. That's all I have for now. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
What the world? Like, if they cover the cost of the travel and they put you up in a ritzy hotel right next to the White House or some of the cool monuments in D.C. and you got to come, you wouldn't. Yeah. All right. Let me come out, and you wouldn't do that.
No.
How come?
I don't think that should have to be done. If they want to give someone a bonus, pay people the way they're normally paid. All those extra theatrics are not necessary. Put it in the person's bank account, mail it to the house.
Skip the drama, just give me the money that I'm owed and then my bonus. But no, I'm not going out here for no photo ops and pictures and none of that. Okay. Okay. CNN, that interview with the TSA worker in Atlanta, the person doing the interview, privileged black male, Victor Blackwell, and then he was talking to privileged black male Aaron Barker, chair of the TSA worker, TSA employee Aaron Barker. Almost got it crisscrossed there. TSA employee Aaron Barker, he was the one talking about, who I thought made that important correction that you pointed out, where it was not people calling in sick. People are not being paid. They are being evicted. They have children. 65%. I said they should have had that at the very beginning. 65% of federal employees live paycheck to paycheck. They should have put that right at the beginning. And these are the folks who have not been paid. And then they were even saying, repeatedly, well, maybe we do the back pay, maybe we don't do the back pay. We have to see. And that the mental anguish, absolutely. We've heard it. We've heard from people who have written, like Cal's listeners and participants, and then many other, they've even had white people talking about, oh my goodness, this has been so stressful. Like, man, how long is it going to last? And are we going to get paid? And, are they going to give us our back pay? And is it going to take 10 years for them to pay? So I'm like, man, are we going to have a job to go back to? It's been tons of folks talking about how stressful it is. So, man, Fuller talked about that. You can drive people insane when they cannot get their bearings and just kind of get a state of homeostasis where at least some of the basics are reliable. You don't even know if your paycheck is reliable. Like, man, Jesus. And you're doing an important job. You say the people at TSA, you got all these dark people around the world that's trying to blow us hither and yonder and all that and put things in their shoes. This is important. And they all distracted with, we're going to be evicted on Monday. We're going to have to start sleeping in the car. What am I going to do with my children? The folks at social services don't look kindly on that sort of thing. You got children sleeping in the car and or being evicted. We were once a fan. End up like Devontae with that type of a thing. Anyway, but that alone might be enough to keep you kind of distracted, where maybe you see the bomb in the suitcase, maybe you don't. Anyway, they did shut the position down for Mr. Covington. They were talking about lynching him. They didn't want to hire him. They wanted to lynch him. That's kind of wild in a workplace to be openly, like flagrantly talking about lynching a non-white person. Like, well, I guess they do put the nooses up pretty often. That's normally not accompanied by noose and I cannot wait to lynch Leroy. That's kind of rare to get that in addition, but right on. Take notes. Let's see. I'm all for asking questions that are business related and nurturing a relationship with other non-white employees if it's constructive and you all have rapport. I don't think that needs to be done at the bar, right? We could go to the park and do that, on a walk. We could walk around the place where we work and do that. Like, man, I don't think tequila, Jameson whiskey, Jack Daniels, vodka, I don't think that has to be involved. Just, we just missed Oktoberfest, right? Let's see. Other folks, Mo in Dallas. See if other folks, *61, if you have commentary to share. Did we miss? Heard? Oh, yep, we can hear you. You actually are a little soft. Can you speak up or get closer to your receiver? One or the other? Both, maybe?
I'll yell.
Okay. Oh, did you say yell?
Yield. So
oh, yield. Okay. I wasn't sure. Okay. If you, I guess, can speak up where it gets where you can, talk a little louder, we'll double check. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Much obliged, Mo in Dallas. I'll share one email. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press *61 if you would like to participate. I will, get in one email, and then we'll see other folks who have commentary to share. If we have federal employees and such, let us know. Let's see. Email number one, I think this is one federal employee or a different person. So we had someone write in last week, federal employee, totally different person. Greetings to you, callers, listeners. I became a federal employee in 2022 for iRev Serve. There we go. As a customer service representative on the phones. When I became furloughed, I worked face-to-face in the Taxpayer Assistance Center. My last day of employment was October 8, 2025. So it's been about 30 days. The email informing us of the furlough was received that morning, and we had 4 hours to complete the checklist before leaving at 12 noon. Since I was new to this, I did not finish at 12 noon. Our manager started a Teams meeting to show those like me and others how to enter our time and complete some of the items on the checklist. I heard this from other federal employees about the timesheets and such, because the normal individuals who would be doing this sort of thing, they were furloughed or they were working very truncated hours. So it was like if you didn't catch them, like they would work something really peculiar, like maybe, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. or 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., something like that. So if you didn't catch them in that window, that's a shame on you. But I can't get my time. Like that sort of thing. I heard that from a number of, which also is nothing to, giggle about. If it's my nickels, I'm not going to give. Getting back to the email. The email included attachments. 1, memo about the furlough. 2, letter to creditors. 3, next steps. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about, and this is what I mean. Why don't we get together to talk about this? I'm confused about it anyway. Do we have anybody? Like I said, do we have folks you went through this before? Thank God. Did y'all get all this last time around? How did you feel this? Do you know how to do the time? Like, man, we got way more important things. What y'all gonna do for the turkey this Thanksgiving? Your in-laws gonna come over? How did you stop your child from wetting the bed? Like, come on. I don't want to talk about none of that. Like, come on. We got way more important. My nickels. Let's get that. And then maybe, depending on our rapport, maybe we can get to the bedwetting, if I even have children or whatever. I don't even want to hear about no turkey. Like, come on. Let's see. 3 next steps. The next steps document included unemployment compensation instructions. That's what we need to be talking about. I filed for the unemployment compensation. Once I received approval for unemployment compensation, my manager, who retired in May 2025 after the 2024 filing season, texted me the next day. I haven't texted her since she retired. She texted me after 10 a.m. that morning. Shocked me. My response: praise the Creator for how He has blessed me with my car issue without having to pay anything. I reminded her that the Creator is in control. For sure. About 6 hours later, my new manager sent a text. She texted that she had been getting questions about RIFs and unemployment compensation. Her text focused on unemployment compensation with information about an updated furlough email stating that back pay has been removed. See, I said that. That's what they've been saying the whole time through. Like, well, we not gonna give you no back pay. And so, yeah, we shut down. If you don't get no paycheck, well, shame on you. They've been saying that throughout. And then sometimes they say, well, maybe, we'll give it. And sometimes, well, we have to see. That type of thing. Like, Nettel, you wouldn't be stressed? She continues, since I will not be receiving what? What do you mean? Since I will not, and she has that underline and boldface print, I would too, probably in all caps, I will still have the unemployment compensation. Once I receive back pay, I will follow the law and use that back pay to repay the unemployment compensation. Enough said for now. Anyway, to answer your question regarding what I am doing during the furlough. While furlough, I've been reading the procedures that I didn't get correct in my evaluations so that when evaluated again, I'll have it correct. Bravo! Making improvements. Love it, love it, love it. Like, you have a little bit extra time. You can go, any of us, we haven't read our policy and procedure manual because that comes up so frequently. This would have been the time. Oh, man. Like, even if you have the thickest policy and procedure manual, you can just break it up, read a little bit every day, like 10 pages, maybe you even build up. I'll read 15 pages a day, but you can read the whole thing comfortably, highlight, so you'll be on it. Then you get back in and you can just be observant. Anything happens, you'll remember, and you can just go back and refresh what you read. While furloughed, I've enjoyed being outside doing yard work. Bravo, get a little exercise, fresh air. I still need to clean my home from work area. It hasn't been cleaned since 2022. Everything you are picturing now, just multiply that by 1,000. My work area is really, really bad. That, Mr. Fuller, cleaning is always, that is one that can be correct, so we can be a little tidier, especially the area where you work, so you can have an uncluttered work area and hopefully an uncluttered mind, so you can think productively, maybe even think of some solutions to white supremacy racism, at least ways to get a raise so that you will have a sparkling evaluation next time. You can show off all of your improvements. Oh, and they even gave us the update since the shutdown is officially over as of 11/13. Yes, back to work today with an exclamation point. My manager texted this morning to make sure I got the message. By the way, there is a Zoom meeting today focused on black men and boys. Wow, how about that? That's amazing. I have to share the link. Wow, they have fascinating. We'll have to check this out. But yeah, for the folks who are back, looks like this person at least excited Hopefully they will get back pay, and it won't be any shenanigans. It won't take no 7 years or 7 months or even 7 days, because they said 72 hours. You should have 75% of what you are owed. So yes, hopefully they will be true to what they said. No lies. You all have been essential employees, so yeah, you shouldn't have to fill out a whole lot of paperwork and craziness. And I mean, come on, make it. You had to labor through all this. Make it easy. Anywho, we have other folks who are federal employees. Let us know, kind of see what the experience has been and how much of an impact this has had on non-white people, victims of white supremacy throughout. Let us know. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. I will say, she said about texting the, I guess, former supervisor, whoever, who retired, manager, who retired, and I guess she did text her back the next morning or what have you, I guess, with some sort of constructive information. I've said that for a while. If you can find a white person on the job who is not, going to talk to you about foolishness and how many jelly beans they can eat in 30 minutes, but they're going to give you accurate, constructive information about the workplace, how to get that employment compensation form filled out, the reasonable timetable when you can expect back pay after a shutdown. Like they got it all. They've been working here for 25 years and they know all the information about everybody. And they are willing to share. Oh man, you want to talk to them. Like I said, because we're always about learning. I would be, if happy hour was not drinking and was not at the dark bar, if it was about getting these forms filled out and learning about the unemployment and what happens during the furlough and all of that, man, sign me up, because I'm confused. I haven't even been through this before. Let's go. We could ask questions and learn. It would be great. And then we would have an authentic relationship. It wouldn't be based on tequila. It would be, man, we got through that furlough together, man, got them forms and was confused, made sure I got my paperwork filled out right, man, right on. That's not, come on. That's not what we get a whole lot of times. It's just chicken wings and tequila, and we done totally forgot about whatever, constructive work we're supposed to be doing. If that were the case, all the black people would be getting promotions and raises and all that. Sparkling performance evaluations, that's not the case. Anyway, we got other federal employees. Untiljustice@gmail.com. If you want to drop an email, the number again, 720-716-7300, the code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let's see, I will read one more email while folks are, I guess, spectating or what have you. Oh, wait a minute, I guess we'll see. I'll check to see. Mo in Dallas, are you able to speak with full throat at this point?
Yes, can I be heard?
Much better, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry about earlier. Background noise and things. Greetings to listeners and callers. Thank you guys for the program. I'd like to start this particular, contribution by saying I think Miss Lauren, she changed my mind as well about receiving funds that way. It actually made a lot of sense what she said, and that was why. Just give me my money, and with no minimal showcasing. I don't think I would want to, especially after she explained her reasoning why I wouldn't want to participate in any sort of interviews or even have my name sort of mentioned about anything, because that's just, it's just kind of private, and it's not really you're doing what you're supposed to do by repaying me or holding yourself accountable. So I wouldn't want to be a part of any spectacle. So kudos to her. Also about sharing names, you talked about the the people at the bar. The bar's name was Gringos Locos, and I think that means. I looked it up rather. It means crazy foreigner, and I think a lot of times Spanish-speaking non-white people call gringos or white people gringos. So I looked that up. I also I don't recommend drinking with coworkers or things like that. And the reason why I wouldn't do it is because, in my opinion, people that you work with tend to borrow money from you. I don't like the idea of that. And they kind of know your pay schedule, things like that. I don't agree with it. I just don't the TSA not being paid because they're federal employees. That's confusing to me, just because I've heard about how the airport has been it's heavily congested because they're not at work, but that means people are paying for flying, and I don't see how they can take money and not, the airport can take money and then not pay someone who works at the airport. I know that's a federal employee, but I don't know how the inner workings of that goes. But it seems to me that some of those funds should be reserved for the people who actually work in the airport. And I know there are other, people employed at the airport. So I would just assume they had a formula to pay people out of the money that they're receiving. I don't know how it goes, but I'm a Negro. I don't know anything much. As far as my personal employment, I have, how do I say this? I have kind of given up. And given up at this particular job, I've kind of been receiving more reverence in my work performance. And what I mean by reverence in my work performance is that since I'm not putting as much effort in now, the superiors at the job are kind of advising people to listen to me more, because at one point in time, I wasn't being listened to. So I was like, well, just, go ahead and do what you want then. I'm going to do what I need to do. And after it was kind of a free-for-all, and then it's like, well, you should really pay attention. And I was like, well, that's okay. I don't know what that is, but I'm not going to overextend myself the way that I have been, and mainly because I'm not even getting paid for the extension I am doing. These people that I've been trying to advise are my peers, and I was just trying to get things done safely. But if they don't want to get things done safely, I can't help that. I think that's all I have to contribute for now. I mute my line. Thank you.
Much obliged, sir. There is that S word again. Getting things done safely. Surprise, surprise, a disregard for safety. He said it was a free-for-all. I don't even know. What? Come on. That's what happens when there's a disregard for safety. It can get reckless very fast. Generally will. Probably that other R word too, racist. Safety, I said all the time, be about safety. Safety. And even it might have been that, hey, that colored boy, Mo, he's talking about safety. We had listened to him, old Leroy, he wouldn't be in the hospital right now. And he said, hey, since I'm not going to be paid, I'm not doing no overextending of myself. In fact, we've even heard some folks, they codified this to like a precise number where they said, I give them exactly 75% effort, no more. That's it. It said, I'm not doing no going and break my neck and, oh, yes, every overtime shift and double and, oh, yes, everything. Yes. Oh, that. I'm giving you 70% effort, and that's it. He even said it seems like once I kind of, I'm going to step back a little bit. I'm not trying to emphasize safety. Just be quiet, do what I need to do to keep my job. Hey, this Mo fella is all right. You're a real lead Negro. Hey, you got any? Why don't we speak up a little bit more of that? I'm not getting a promotion or raise behind that. I'm going to do 70%. Keep myself safe as best I can. Love it. He said now they have even more. I think we've even heard that before. One of it almost seems like white people, they know, like, hey, nigga, like, you can come in here and work as hard as you want to. You're not getting no promotion. And once they said, whoa, this nigga doesn't recognize that. Wow. And like I said before, he was talking about safety. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Like, the system of white supremacy is not safe. You can't run a plantation safely, or a prison, Khalif Browder. So, the workplace, all of this is just pretend. Like we just, all right, at Boeing. So, in the workplace, your counter-racism might be primarily focused on safety, even just, isolated to yourself in the workplace, because it is so even down to, we got to bring firearms to work and all that and be violent with each other in the workplace. Like, a big part of it really might be safety, doing things in a safe manner. And who should be against that? You can just wait, But bravo for promoting safety in the workplace. Bravo. At minimum, you want to be fired. So I was promoting safety in the workplace. Like, really? And they find out? Yep. I was promoting safety in the workplace. And he said, additional safety, no spectacles. Said, I was thinking about going to D.C., but nope. Lauren changed my mind. Not going to waste my money and time. Not going to have me out there doing no photo ops and put the money in my account and stop wasting all this time and energy and foolishness. I still want to do my experiment. They want to fly me out, even though I'm not a federal employee, just to observe and take notes, ask questions about, like I said, how many niggers are they going to have? They've got all these black employees, Anyway, I'd be super curious about lots of things. Anyway, the number 720-716-7300, the code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Let's see, we'll get email number 2. Hi, Gus, Cal's audience. I don't believe anyone in HR gave right-wing Ashley my number. Oh, we talked about this last week, how she, sent some text message and such. Strangely, I don't vouch for people in general, and certainly not white people, but it's not that type of environment. They don't take data protection seriously, and it's a secure environment. Or they take data protection seriously, and it's a secure environment. It could only have been Shauna. But do I think she intended for right-wing Ashley to abuse it? No. When right-wing Ashley made her false allegations, I made clear to Phoebe, Isabel, and Tristan that the problem isn't that I've been mistreating her, but her underperformance. Obviously, the racist suspects did not like that. Tristan told me that her performance would be managed by Isabel and Phoebe, which in effect is telling me to mind my own business. That doesn't make sense because she works to me on a specific project, and it is expected organizational policy that I would comment on her performance. Also, if the work isn't done, my performance would be judged, and if she doesn't do her work effectively, it impacts on my workload. All of the above is probably exactly what they intended. And well-being. We talked about that too. It impacts upon my workload and well-being. We talked about that when you have this constant nag, strain, and then the false allegations. This just goes on and on and on because it's been going on since like summertime. Yes, that is stressful. Those things are of no concern to racist suspects. Absolutely not. There are also legal obligations attached to the work. So when Tristan told me that I shouldn't pay too much attention to the fact that right-wing Ashley isn't performing, I ignored him. If he put his instruction into writing, I would have done as he said, but he didn't. See that right there? She has told us repeatedly that a lot of this is, very precise. They have a legal team that they work with, so you have to ask them this very precise in terms of what you say, suggestions and all of that because of the work that they're doing. And sometimes she said where she will say things that the attorneys have already told them, like, whoa, you're not supposed to say that. This needs to be changed. Like, whoa, this, that's so. And she violates this sort of thing all the time. Like, if the work is that precise, this is serious. And I suspect this is one, if right-wing Ashley was classified as black, all of this sloppiness and underperformance, it would not be tolerated. It wouldn't be no counter accusations. How did you get this job? And you're going to be on probation and on the fast track out of here. Like, get it together, nigga. That type of thing. Let's see. There are also legal obligations if he put his instructions in writing, which he didn't. I was later told I should be able to give feedback to a right-wing Ashley. It was clear that my views are not welcome. He obviously denied it. Last month was performance appraisals. Isabel, who is right-wing Ashley's line manager, emailed me for feedback. I had already told her when she summoned me in August to put me back in my place that there's a backlog, and right-wing Ashley, and I'm not clear why, which Isabel tried to minimize at that time. So that was my feedback and her objective for the next quarter. I stood my ground. Isabel was obviously mad because she didn't even acknowledge my email. And they will. That though, I love it. Email, you have documentation, timestamp, all of that. I guess the most they could say is, you send it to the wrong email, but if you email this person all the time and all that, then yeah. But the white folks Voltroned. Tristan included clearing the backlog and my objectives for this next quarter, which I expected, so no big deal, but a complete change to his previous stance on the matter. They've also arranged new, talkative, non-white female to support right-wing Ashley. What? Talkative? Just random, remember running off with him out talking about random stuff all the time? Gossip talk? Talking about other coworkers, talking about you or whomever else in the workplace? To just talk, that's why I say all the time, in the workplace, it should be a lot of that. If you are a victim of racism, you are just listening, taking notes, quiet. Very difficult to get fired for being quiet. Now they will get you something that you're just, you don't talk enough. They will say that sometime, but I mean that's another one. Really, you got fired because you didn't talk a whole lot? And that's why I say I ask questions. Asking questions. How we get these forms filled out? How we make sure we get our compensation? What did you say I need to work on for my evaluation? How I get that raise? When do we get our bonus? Questions, 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 and safety all the time. My goodness. You got lots of things to talk about. I'm not going to be sitting here just running off at the mouth, talking about me, talking about coworkers, what I watched on Netflix or whatever else. Come on. Not in the workplace. No, maybe anywhere, but certainly not at work, even if I work with all non-white people. No way. But a talkative nod, like, that's kind of dangerous in the workplace. Like, oh man, even if they're just, running off at the mouth talking to me, it might give the impression if they're gossiping, or even if they're talking about, golfing, whatever else, it might give the impression that I'm willfully engaged in this. That, we're a duo, we're having a dialogue, a conversation, when that's not the case at all. I'm being talked to, verbally assaulted, really. And especially if that's why I say, I tell people, like, hey, and this has come up before. You have someone who just talk, and it's nonsense. Like, hey, I'm working really hard. I need to concentrate. Unless you have something that is like work oriented, I'm really going to need to talk to you later so that I can really focus all my brain power on this. And again, like 10 times out of 9, that's the way I meant to say it. Who's going to oppose that? In a workplace setting, I'm trying to work. Is that a problem? Oh, okay. Because you're just talking about jelly beans or Netflix or whatever. Like, come on, I'm trying to talkative non-white people. Even in fact, if I had rapport with this person, I would let them know, like, man, you do not just want to be talking, especially talking about things that are not about the workplace around here. Like, this is not the environment for that. Like, really try to curtail that. Even if white people try to encourage you and goad you into talking about sports, movies, fashion, family vacation, any of that, anything that's not related to the job, like, man, cut that out. Like, this is not the environment for that at all. But if I didn't have rapport with them, I wouldn't even say all that. Just, victim guaranteed qualified and hope they don't get in trouble. Keep it moving. And like I said, I would make sure I'm not involved in that. I would want a reputation. I'm serious. I'm not about this at all. But that red flag there. So right wing actually got support from a victim of racism who is super talkative. I suspect not very codified. We were all supposed to meet on Wednesday of this week to run through the process. Tristan moved the meeting to today as he apparently had a meeting clash. I was on leave today, which he was obviously aware of because he approved my leave, and it was in my diary and his. I logged into the company email this evening to check something, and they did meet without me. It's deliberately undermining me, and it's not the first time he has put meetings in without checking my diary first. Well, he approved the leave, as you said, so I mean, he's not unaware. They probably didn't. Like, we can codify and just blame more. In fact, might even say, see, she's trifling. She didn't even show up for the meeting today. He approved the leave. Well, she's out faking injuries. It's faking ankle injuries and all the rest of it so she can get special privileged furniture and the like, see. I rearranged my other meeting that time, but clearly wasn't going to reschedule my leave. Bravo. Which I'm sure he realized. Even if Tristan had a diary clash, the matter isn't that urgent. That meeting had to go ahead without me. What signal does that send to right-wing Ashley and the talkative non-white, non-black female? Disrespect the negress. Yeah, that's there. That is kind of lame that they had the meeting. It was supposed to be the original Wednesday, and then no, we're going to move on. And I mean, normally if it's going to be a reschedule, let's check in with everybody and make sure everybody is, this is going to work since we're really okay. Everybody's supposed to be a Wednesday. We're going to okay Thursday. And I mean, if you got the calendars, you already know. You can just look and immediately see, like, oh man, she's going to be out. Dang, I did say that. Okay. So let's look at Friday, Monday, Friday. No. Nigger woman's not even important. We'll give her the notes. She would have slowed us down if she'd been here anyway. Our old false allegations and there's like underperformance and all this. That to be expected in a system of white. She said she's experienced this before. Where they'll have important meeting. Sometimes it might even be where she's supposed to be in charge of the meeting, and they'll reschedule it and don't include her, or seems like deliberately exclude her would probably be the more accurate way of stating it, and that way they can embolden the white person. Yes, she is mistreating you. It's not that you're lazy and trifling and don't do your work correctly and might get us in legal trouble. And if it is, we're going to blame it on the nigger. Either we'll blame it on the nigger woman, or we will make the nigger woman do all of the work anyway. That right with the white woman, Ashley, she's supposed to do. We just make the nigger woman do all her work. And then fuss at her if it takes her too long to get it done. Standard operating procedure. Done deliberately, I might add. Done another form of white welfare, might say. Much obliged. The email again, untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. We'll see other folks if they're directly, indirectly impacted by the shutdown and or just system of white supremacy in the workplace. If folks are having any of these so-called holiday parties, the office get-togethers have already started for all of that. Let us know if you have a code, if you have to attend. This is one of those like, I plan to be on this job for 10 years till I can retire, that sort of thing. I know it's going to be a problem if I don't attend. Just codify your attendance. Like I said, how long? Certainly sober. See if you can take somebody else non-white with you that you have rapport with. They're codified. They're going to be sober. You all already talk in advance. You have your code down. Like, there's going to be any trouble. Like, something happens. Bam, we get out of here quick. We're going to stay max 40 minutes, and then we're out of here. Boom. Like, if you have to attend, like, this is a big deal, the company Christmas party or whatever it is. But other than that, see if you can get out of going. Like, man, like, I have never, all the years that we've been doing Neutralizing Workplace Racism, we've had people we've had some folks who say they do think they got in trouble on a job where the white people really were upset about them not going to the Christmas party. We've heard that from a number of folks, and I've had that from a personal experience myself. We've had that from some people where they say that white people they think were so upset about this, they ended up leaving the job. It was that serious. They were upset about this, and the white people were just suspicious of them and felt like they weren't going to advance. Like, it can be a really big deal. We've had other people who they attended, and it was tacky, trifling liquor, to be expected. I have never heard anybody, never, in all the years we've talked about this, no victim of racism dial in, man, we went to the Christmas party, and because of that, we got a bonus, raise. They were giving out stock tip, like nothing constructive, like never. I have heard, like I said, I have heard folks who said they got a non-constructive response from not going. That's why I said if you think it might be a penalty, this is a place where I want long-term employment, maybe try to retire, that sort of thing, got a big promotion pending, you just codify how you're going to attend. But, man, I have never heard anybody say that that's what won the day. Even when we've heard from people who say that they got raises and promotions, none of those folks have said, man, you know, I think what really won the day, they said, man, I showed up with that pecan pie at the Christmas party, and that, boy, they said they ain't never had. I've never heard that from anybody, even just saying that they were there for 30 minutes or 3 hours. I've never heard anybody say, anybody non-white give me anything. They didn't even come back with a good drink recipe. Like the bartender hooked it up, and the next time you got an extra peach, some raspberries, and they didn't even come back with that. Anyway, let's see if other folks got commentary. If you had something constructive happen in the workplace as a result of your attendance at one of these holiday shindigs, man, *61 and let us know. But that has not been my personal experience. Anybody, you not being fired doesn't count. That just means there was a penalty for not attending. That's not the same thing at all. Let's see. Give folks, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, see if they have other commentary, additional folks who've been furloughed and all that. We should be here Friday for Catherine Massey Book Club, the prison break of Assata Shakur in this week's portion of Evelyn Williams' Inadmissible Evidence. I think I said way back when we read Assata Shakur's memoir that she didn't, and I think listeners, folks who were reading it with us way back, they said or expressed disappointment that she didn't really give a lot of details about the prison break. Like, how did she get out specifically? Like, you know, what did they do? They take people hostage. Like, I remember a lot of folks, myself included, I guess, were a bit bummed, like she didn't give out more although I think we did grasp the, you know, why she was still with us at the time and on the FBI's most wanted list, most wanted terrorist list, and all the rest of it. So I had said then there were other sources like this book that do give more details about what happened during this prison break to get her out. That's where we will pick up at tomorrow for Catherine Massey Book Club, the prison break portion of Assata Shakur and how she got to Cuba. Looking forward, and more details about COINTELPRO. I had really forgotten how much commentary they shared on COINTELPRO in this book specifically. Any hoodles. But that'll be tomorrow, and then the compensatory call-in on Saturday, where certainly we'll have more details about the so-called government shutdown, as well as even, I think, some employment aspects kind of bled into workplace racism, which is often the case, but I think there'll be some of that this week as well, because there's just so much with the shutdown and direct, indirect impact that had on so many aspects. I guess this is one time where I can only reiterate, like, man, even if you are an entrepreneur, so-called self-employed, you are not immune from the system of white supremacy. And it would be with the shutdown in a variety of ways. Like, oh my goodness, if you run your own business and in any way, shape, form, you rely on planes for moving product, moving you, anybody else in your job, there you go right there. Much less any of your customers might be federal employees. Say you got a business and you're someplace in D.C. and you have a lot of federal employees who serve your business, patronize your business, and oh man, they've been double whammy for 2 months now. Yikes. Maybe you get them back, maybe you don't. Lots of different ways the system of white supremacy can impact. Just because you are an entrepreneur, it does not in any way mean I am independent. I don't have to deal with no racists no more. It just changes the way that you'll have to deal with them moving forward. Not that the impact will be minimal, not saying that at all. It just changes the way that you will deal with the system of white supremacy, not to mention all those business licenses and white people have to give you permission to have your business. Any hoodles. Let's see. Make sure I give out my recommendation as well, since we did have great note takers even mentioned in the news segments that we started with. Man, practice your professional writing. That is so critically important, especially if there becomes an issue. If it's racism, if it's wage theft, whatever the case may be, violation of safety, violation of policy and procedure, work on your professional note taking. Really, that could be with your workplace journal. We have lots of folks, I call it the courthouse and others, who take notes on a regular basis, and I've said that doesn't have to be 12-hour exercise. You're not writing a dissertation. It can just be, I whip out my phone, bam. They have so many apps for notes and all that. Okay, I already have my little folder or whatever for the workplace. It literally can be 5 minutes sitting in your car parked, but it can be 5 minutes sitting in your car where, okay, bam. See, some days it might not be a whole lot because maybe nothing happens. You don't have anything to write, but something does happen. You can take 5-10 minutes and just be detailed, as thorough as you can. No emojis, timestamp, and being as precise as you can with exactly what was said, done, who was there, all of that. Professional writing, and if you have to write a report about any sort of mistreatment, violation of policy and procedure, professional writing is very important. No emojis and slang and all the rest, just being correct and I would say precise. So something that can be stated, if it can be stated in 5 sentences, let's not take 800 words. Let's knock this down in 5 sentences, accurate and knowing how you want to articulate. I'm a big fan of, not for the workplace, not using the term racism, because they'll just redirect. They might even say that you are racist. You can, violation of policy and procedure, safety hazard. Those are big ones. If there's mistreatment, you just label it that. But I'm a big advocate of not using the term racism or even accusing someone of racism in the workplace, even though that generally that's probably what it is. Especially if you're a non-white person and you are being subjected to some form of peculiar mistreatment, and or they're just talking about lynching you, which I do think is kind of peculiar because they normally don't verbalize. They just, throw a noose on your work area and sneak off after hours. So you, what they did, what, that sort of thing. But they just come out and I'm ready to lynch you at that. Wow, brazen. Anyway, take detailed notes. That's why I say say if they're talking that way in the workplace, don't get angry, don't lose your composure, don't start cursing anybody. Ask them very calmly. Whip out your phone. Please repeat what you said. You can record and or write it down. Check the laws in your area about recording. If you need to say, I just want to record this, make sure that I, didn't miss anything. Say it again, Robert. And or you can write it down. Make sure that I write this down correctly. What did you say? Lynch his Indian ASS. Okay. Anything else? Now that I might have to call the enforcement officer as well as a terroristic threat, because lynching, we talk about killing folks. So I think, yeah, unless folks, have some logical reason. Oh, did we miss? Is this Mo in Dallas? Did you have commentary? Oh, maybe you got disjointed there. Anywho, but yeah, unless I heard like something wacky from other folks that was based on logic, I guess retract wacky. It would have to be something pretty logic, like something that I overmissed. Like if someone is talking about lynching me in a workplace, I think that should be a police report. Like that is a terroristic violent crime, and I would take that as a total threat. Like, yeah, police. I've said that consistently. Any sort of like violence, threat of violence, take that super. I've been saying safety the whole time. Jesus Christ. They're talking about lynching you in the workplace. Contact the enforcement authorities. I would make a police report. That is a terroristic threat. Take it seriously. I'd have to hear back, folks, unless folks had a different opinion about why that should not be done. But I would for sure, workplace or otherwise, if somebody was talking about lynching and they named the person directly, like, oh my God. Like, in fact, if I was in a workplace, even if they were not talking about me specifically, if I was in the same environment, cubicle, whatever, email, if they wrote this out or what have you, and this person was talking about Leroy, And man, that Leroy and got on my news, showed up late and broke the toilet last week. Lynch's black behind. And I'm Gus. You're not talking about me, but he talking about it. And I heard that. Oh man, I'm reporting that too. Like, what in the world? You're talking about killing another coworker? What? That's Gavin DeBecker, gift of fear. That is told like you're not supposed to be talking about killing people and none of that. That's an act of terrorism, act of violence. Like what's the metaphor to I'm going to lend, especially if they were cursing about it? What's the metaphor? At minimum, that's enough. That's why I say I would read policy and procedure. Now, I don't know what the fire department is, but I'm pretty sure I don't know what their procedure and all looks like, their employee manual. But for many workplaces, just using that sort of profanity and such is not allowed in general office places, especially cursing at your coworkers. Like, oh no. That's in Gavin DeBecker, gift of fear. Like, there's supposed to be a baseline amount of professional decorum, not you a-hole and F-bomb and, all that B word. What for the workplace? Anyway, I would police report because there's a terroristic threat. And then I would also get the employee manual to see if they have something there about making threats, cursing, all of that, just in terms of how we are supposed to deport ourselves in a work environment. And threatening, I mean, gee whiz, like, oh my gosh. Police report, written report, and working on our professional, right, that's for sure. You get threatened like that, man, professional piece of writing. For the police report and for the folks that you work with. Any hoodles, let's see. Make sure I did not miss any emails. If you are a federal employee, been impacted by all of this, and I guess now you're getting your job back. I guess now the shift, it shifts from how long is it going to last and all that. How long is it going to take for us to get the money that we are owed? Drop us an email and let us know how all of that is proceeding. Hopefully, like I said, it will be quick from what they said today, but who knows? This all could just be temporary. I think they said some of this is just an agreement until like September of next year, and also we could be doing all this again very shortly. It seemed like 2017 wasn't that long ago. So, if anything, a reminder about Mr. Fuller said all the time, be frugal. Even if we get all that back pay immediately, like, man, we are not rushing out to do no spending spree and lighting up Amazon Prime and nothing else. Like, man, saving. Race soldiers, they absolutely, I again say, I don't blame Republicans, Democrats. I blame individuals classified as white. And they love to cause these sort of disruptions and anxiety for non-white people. All those non-white people working at TSA, like Mr. Barker that we heard at the beginning, living paycheck to paycheck and have them struggling and evicted. How are we going to be able to eat? And oh my God, what's going to happen to our children? Are we living in the car? That is exactly what they want. Few white sacrifice in there here and there, but man, non-white people struggling. Any hoodles. Let's see. Any other folks' commentary, suggestions to add neutralizing workplace racism? Make sure we didn't miss any folks. Assume folks there all good for this Thursday. I guess even folks, right? I guess a number of folks had their extra day for Veterans Day, I reckon. Hopefully that made it a little more tolerable this week on the plantation, at least for some. I'm very aware that, one, I guess we have folks who listen who are not in the U.S., so they have no idea what that is, and not everybody gets so-called Veterans Day off. Right on both ways. But for the folks who did, hopefully a slightly more tolerable week on the plantation. If you did get that time off, use it constructively. A little extra sleep. I think we heard from some of the folks. A little extra cleaning, constructive use of time and energy. And if you did have to work, maybe we got some folks who got overtime pay. What is it? Holiday pay, right? You get a few extra nickels for going in as opposed to being at home and worshiping all the white war heroes that they recognized that day. I don't think most of that consists of like Neely Fuller Jr., Jackie Robinson, Geronimo Pratt, Harriet Tubman. I don't think those are the folks that Veterans Day is for, but I could be in error. Let's see. Our caller at the courthouse in Florida is with us. Did you have commentary to share? Should be with us, sir.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners, and callers. Gus, I had a few updates I'd like to share. The first is I noticed there was a social media post from a suspected racist, a white woman from the job, and the post said, does anybody know what CPT means? And so I looked at the comments, and it looks like she was trying to get the people responding to say, what does that acronym mean? And she was also trying to get someone to say, oh, you should send me a message. Just message me. I don't want to say it. And no, it doesn't mean this. It doesn't mean that. And again, just trying to get people to just send her a message. And I just made sure I just did these screenshots of that post. And a white person came on there and said, colored people time. And she just made this smiley face emoji. And there was a email sent out today about someone wearing black clothing had approached a female employee, another one of those emails where the white woman will send out like an all reply email, and it's just this. It's almost, I want to say, hyperbole, like where they'll use this kind of language and saying that people should buddy up, which I agree with, but I can just tell that it came from somebody white, one of the white employees, and they said, yeah, you should buddy up and make sure you just be aware of who's around. And they said it was somebody on a bike or something like that, and wearing. They made sure. They said the person was wearing all black, and the person was wearing all black, and it was two photographs in the email, but they definitely made it sound like it should be urgent, but they don't do that when it's somebody white. But I wanted to share that. And the same person, the HR lady, so someone was classified as white, sent out an email, not an email, sorry about that, another newsletter with the Grim Reaper, like an icon image on the upper corner, and she used the term incivility, okay? And she's putting these questions on this page saying, should you think about this before you say it? And, how do you perceive this person standing in front of you? Things like that. And you don't want to be called the dirty I word. And that's how she that's how she phrased it. She's using this term, incivility. And I think there's been a lot of reports about the racism being practiced from other victims, and I just think that's a way for her to practice the racism and to help cover for some of the other white staff members. And I have to read it again. I like to share some more of what she spoke about, but she did use that phrase, dirty I word, but she said it's incivility. So I guess there's been some things going on about how people are being treated, and that was something put out in a recent newsletter. And other than that, that's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Well, much obliged, good sir. I was not hearing correctly, I believe, when you initially dialed in and saying, I was thinking that you said CTT, and so I was like, CTT, what is? See, I was trying to guess myself. Let's see, CTT. And when he said it, I was like, oh, he said CPT. Like, oh man, come on. Like, I thought again, people classified as white are ignorant about racism. You cannot be ignorant about niggers and then sitting up joking about CPT. Really, once I, got my full act together, said, oh man, we just read about Mary K. Time. I guess that's MKT. And they said, this is a white woman, in addition to raping non-white children over and over, convicted child rapist, sex offender, when not fondling brown children. They said she would not show up at all. She showed up to the meeting 3 hours late, 4 hours late, next day, not at all. Who knows? Called it MKT. I don't want to hear nothing. They sitting up joking, niggers just can't never show up on that. Please. The racist jokes, mind you. She doesn't want, I'm going to be coy. I don't want to say. Message me. Let's see. And he said they sent out the email. It seemed like they have all kinds of safety concerns going out to the parking and such, because they said the people were begging for change, and they had the street team people out there to clean things up and all that. He said they sent the email, and we got somebody wearing the black. They didn't even say it was a black fella, unless I misheard. I thought he said they were just wearing all black. And, oh, my goodness, we got to buddy up, and maybe we need to call the ICE people. And I don't... Oh, it's dangerous. I'm like, what? Come on. He said they got the newsletter, which always they got something racist, inappropriate. He said they got the Grim Reaper, which I was thinking, I guess it's close enough to Halloween, maybe, Dia de los Muertos, whatever. And he said they got all this about the dirty I word. And I said, what? What is the... It's incivility. Oh. He said you don't want to call it being incivil. What? What? I don't even, he said it's been a lot of reports of racism being practiced. Like, what? Is that that's what they're talking about? Like in the incivility? Is this in response to accusations that racism is being practiced at the courthouse? My word. I mean, dang. I don't know. Is that your understanding, that this I guess write up or letter or whatever be about, you don't want to be incivil, the dirty I word. Incidentally, That word dirty, I believe, is in Mr. Neely Fuller's word guide, dirty, where he gives caution about the use of that term and how they'll use that to suggest dirty black people and all the rest of it. Dirt in general is, because they'll say dirty movies, dirty words. But was that your understanding, that this article or whatever commentary about incivility, that this is about accusations of racism at the courthouse?
Yes, sir. Gus, can I read this? It's a paragraph on what she typed on here, the white woman.
Let's hear it.
So it says in HR moment, incivility is the dirty I word. Incivility is disrespect and includes being rude or discourteous. In today's world, incivility is common, even appears in the workplace. This can be condescending body language, such as an eye roll, arm crossing, a huff, a lack of eye contact, or the refusal to listen. This can also be verbal or written, like gossip, negativity, biting sarcasm, or a belittling email of all caps to someone. It can also be clique behavior where others feel excluded. The opposite, civility, is built on relationships, and a cornerstone of a good relationship is healthy communication. So that's all she wrote.
Well, if they go by that, the clique been outlawed. Like, gee whiz, I hope they have liberal and just enforcement of that, because I'm anti-clique too. I mean, the master clique in the known universe is a racist man, racist woman, and the gang of white supremacy. So, oh yeah, I'm anti-clique all the way. So, man, I hope they enforce that. I was listening. I was like, man, I just said no gossiping. I just said get a reputation for no gossiping. I don't send no nasty emails in all capital. I don't. Right on. I'm like, yeah. You're supposed to be courteous, and that's what I just said. You're not supposed to be cursing out your coworkers and I'm gonna lynch you. No counting dirty. Like, yeah. I've been like, yep, that's right. No clicks. That's right. Yeah, that's it. If we could do that, man, we would have a great work environment. If we could just do that right there, not gossiping about folks and all that, just being cut. No eye roll. I agree. Body line. I agree. If we could just follow that right there, wow, we could leaps. And then I guess we might have. We can't be wishing death on people, because we've heard that a few times too. So no wishing death, no matter how much your baby daddy has got on your nerves, especially if it's a privileged black dude. No wishing death on others in the workplace. They just add that to it. And now, he said he thought this was in response to all the racism that's been accused. Man, they didn't say don't practice racism. But I did say, you can't say racism because they'll get upset. So, other than this all being in response to repeated, he said, accusations of racism at the courthouse, yeah. That's where the rubber meets the road, getting white people to enforce that policy. That's where we have consistent problems, where white people we're not going to do something about the clique. They've been causing mischief for about a good 20 years at the courthouse, maybe longer, who knows. Do something about the clique. They've been throwing beverages in white people's face and everything. Do something about them. Much less the racism. We didn't get back to that. Like, man, but if they could and all of that is pretty much Fuller would sign off on all that and say, yep, that's the way I would say you should behave in the workplace. Not gossiping, not doing all that goofy talk, be courteous to people in the workplace, sir, ma'am, not rolling eyes at people, watching your body. He would sign off on all of that, not having cliques in the workplace. Like, I'm just here to be constructive with everybody, get my paycheck as much as I can, learn about the system of white supremacy, racism, and anything else constructive. Get the biggest bonus I can. End of the year coming up, make up for the 2 months that we missed, trying to get the biggest bonus that I can. Anybody, click what you mean. Anybody, I want to talk to anybody that can help me get that bonus. Anyway, that is, wow. I would, in fact, I might even clip that out, post that on my desk. Like, man, I'm all for this. Like, yes, indeed. No incivility in the workplace, especially if that's supposed to mean no racism, white supremacy. Oh, yeah. I blow that up big with that on me. Because they violate that all the time. They're sitting around gossiping about people and comparing people to monkeys and apes and all the rest of it. Like, they violate that, all that. I can't even get to the body language. And they come up and you tell them what the order is, whatever, nigga, get out of here. Get me a white person up here to tell me what. Like, they violate that all the time. So yeah, I would blow that up and like have that laminated right at my desk. Like, bang, we're supposed to be working on being civil. We're in the civil area too. Yeah, man, you can't be in civil being accused of incivility and we working near the civil section. Come on. I would laminate that, put that up there in big print. Like, oh yeah, this one was important. It spoke to my heart. Yes, be courteous to the employees, and you just have that on my mind. Yes. when they violated, I would just look at that. Oh yes, are we being civil? Put that in form of a question too. See. Man, I love that. But a great say. That's about the only constructive thing I've heard from the newsletter, like, ever. Like, they're talking about burnt sweet potatoes and buzzards, and they got the nigger children came to the courthouse. They got just have foolishness, racism, really. In the new, man, we get, hey, the newspaper could be used constructively. Who would have thought? Now, let's see what they got. But I would even put that maybe on the refrigerator. Like, man, what did you put this on the refrigerator? You don't even put no food, or you don't keep your water in the refrigerator anymore. It's just, I really thought it was important. Yeah, we should keep that in mind as we work, being civil. Civil to the patrons who come to the courthouse and to other employees. What are they going to say? Wow. Yes. Right on. Be civil. Yeah. We work in the civil section. We should be civil. Yes. Woo. I would laminate that. Man. Anyway, much obliged. I'm glad we got that extra paragraph in. And he normally, I guess if they have some sort of like brochure or whatever, a weekly newspaper or whatever for employees, or I don't know, in your business place, check it out. You know, if they're talking, if it's supposed to be for the employees, see what's there. Because sometimes they'll have pictures of employees, or they'll just mock employees for burning something in the microwave or whatever, but see what's in it. It might be amazing. Now, I don't never hear him say that they got coupons so that you can save like $1 on the mayonnaise at the grocery store or nothing like that. It doesn't, normally ain't nothing constructive. You know, if you go to the movie theater, you can get a free box of jujubes. It's normally, like I said, to mock black people and practice racism, but we actually got something constructive. Like, hey, who would have thought? Read the newsletter if they got one. Much obliged to Mo in Dallas. I missed the name of the restaurant before. I said it's important. I should have wrote that down. Gringos Locos. That's the name of the dark bar right up there with dirty. They didn't say dirty. They said dark, which is also in the word guide. But that's the name of the happy hour spot that the probably all white female teachers, the all girls only, that's where they would go. And Mo in Dallas said that is gringos is a term used to describe white people. I looked and I said, ooh, I think he might be right on that one. So I asked the AI. The AI said the term gringo is often used to refer to white people, but its precise meaning varies significantly by region and context. The core meaning is generally foreigner, especially one who speaks English or a language other than Spanish, Portuguese. These are, I believe, Latin? Rather than strictly about race. Generally, the foreigner in this context is white, and even some of the further definitions go on to make that very clear, because it even talks about lighter shade foreigners would be gringos in certain parts of like South America and such, but neither here nor there. But yeah, that's the happy hour places. It was Gringos Loco, so that's crazy white people. Indeed, after you had 3-4 tequilas, absolutely, you loony as can be. And like I said, this is supposed to be, these were the teachers. How are we going to get a individualized lesson plan for Leroy? And we done took advantage of happy hours at the crazy gringos. We done had, the blue motorcycle? We done had 5 blue motorcycles. How are we going to put the lesson plan together? Come on. Let's see. Make sure we didn't miss anybody else. Much obliged. Our caller at the courthouse in Florida. I would laminate that newsletter piece for reals. Have that my work area. Let's see. Make sure we didn't miss any emails. Anybody? Any additional comments? Did we miss anybody? Anyone celebrating the end of the shutdown? Grand. We will catch folks for the Catherine Massey Book Club on Friday. Compensatory call-in on Saturday. Time for the furlough there as well. Much obliged. Hopefully worthy of your Thursday evening. Now, I'm going to sit here and endorse happy hour. We end every program saying sobriety would be better. In fact, beyond that, for over a decade, I've said one of the worst combinations in the known universe. White people, alcohol. How am I come by and then say, well, now, the exception is just happy hour with your coworkers. What? Y'all would have to give me a lot of evidence of, oh man, we did the happy hour thing, and I did not have to be the designated driver for no load of drunk racists. And I did get a raise out of all this, or a nice bonus, or something else constructive. And no, they didn't say nothing racist or trifling, or no, they didn't accuse me of stealing nobody's wallet. Like, you'd have to give me a long list of what was the constructive value of going to hang out at the crazy gringos for 3 hours with drunk white people. Break it down to me. And particularly, we are pretending that this is supposed to be about the work life. Anyway, I'll wait to hear back. You can write in untiljustice@gmail.com. You can drop an email if you had a constructive experience with happy hour and white people and the workplace. Like, this wasn't a random thing. Like, you did happy hour with your white coworkers and it worked out great. Please share. Creator, we ask that you remind us, especially if you go to happy hour, to stop saying not all white people are racist. Remind us, stop name calling people classified as black. Remind us, stop producing throwaway offspring to be raped by Mary Kay Letourneau 2 times, or drowned by Susan Smith, other white women. Remind us not to waste non-white people's time and energy, especially our own. Maximize our time and energy to replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Gerald Austin dead at 57. Immediately. Replace white supremacy with justice ASAP. Cows signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed.
I'm a victim, brother.
No problem. You're a victim.
Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning.
Shut up.
The man has programmed my condition.
Mm-hmm.
Even my conditioning has been conditioned.